Hey Raider Nation, this is OG Daniel. Just doing a little supplemental video today. Tuesday night, myself and Captain Jack premiered the Chronicles of the Black Hole on Doc's Entertainment or graphics page. And if you're not subscribed to those two gentlemen, you should be. To Doc's Ent and Captain Jack Rackham. And we had a discussion about NFL player John Matuszak. And I know it's good to go over stats and history and biography and all of that. My wife gave me this amazing gift. It's called Tales from the Raiders Sideline. It's by Matt Folks as he interviewed Tom Flores. And Tom Flores told stories about some of the old Raiders, back all the greats that he worked with. And the other night, one of them was John Matuszak. Speaking of which, does that picture look like a total mismatch? He was huge. But that's not why I was doing this today. What I wanted to do was share a story that Tom Flores had told Matt Folks about John Matuszak. He said John Matuszak, who joined the Raiders in 1976, was one of the biggest guys I've ever seen. He stood at 6'8", weighed 310 pounds. He had tremendous coordination and was a great dancer. It's hard to imagine a guy that big was able to dance like he could. And he went and told about where John had, moved around the NFL. And there was always a question mark on to whether anybody could handle him. He was kind of a wild and crazy guy, and he didn't disappoint anybody as far as being wild and crazy. He just did a lot of stupid things off the field. On the field, he was a force. He just did a lot of things. But did any team want to put up with that aggravation of his off-field antics? Well, he didn't last very long. And in Kansas City or Washington, I think he lasted about a day. But obviously, he wasn't there very long. In 1976, we lost 3 defensive linemen in training camp and were faced with a big personnel problem. So in true Raider form, we signed John Matuszak. I remember confronting him once when I was an assistant coach. We were about to get on an airplane out of Houston. I grabbed him, took him aside because he was doing something that he probably shouldn't have been doing. He wasn't a bad guy, and he wasn't arrogant. He just didn't have a lot of concern about some of the things he was doing. He asked me why he couldn't do certain things like drink. To be honest, in those days, there wasn't a lot of testing that there is today. But if there had been, he probably would have been suspended. We went to a 3-man line that year with Matuszak and Otis Sistrunk as our 2 defensive ends. And it was an awesome front 7. Our defense was loaded. Matuszak didn't know how to play the 3-man line. He just went to it because the linebackers were our best people. We had more linebackers than defensive linemen, and Matuszak gave us strength at that position. We went 13-1 in the regular season that year, with the exception of losing to New England. We went right through the league and then through the playoffs. We got revenge when we beat New England in the first round, or in the first playoff game, and then beat Pittsburgh in the championship game to go to Super Bowl 11 in Pasadena, where we handily beat the Minnesota Vikings. Matuszak was a force. He was always on the edge. I'm sure John Madden had some conversations with him as well. But I remember that when I became head coach, we had to talk. I had him in my office one time after he did something wrong. And there I was, 6'1", looking up at this big monster, pointing my finger as you might do with your kids. I said, John, you got to behave. I went on telling him that he had to do this and that he had to do that. He had his head down and he said, I'm sorry, coach, I won't do it again. I'm sorry, I apologize, I'll behave. It was almost as if I should have put him in the corner facing the wall and told him he was in timeout. When he left the room, I had to chuckle because I had just reprimanded this giant of a man. The Tooz was that kind of guy. If he ordered a cocktail, he would have had a triple. If you had one thing, he had to have 3 of them. It was just because he was the Tooz. Eventually, all that wore his body out, and he died way too young. But there'll never be anybody like him. He was one of the most memorable Raiders of all time. And that was told by Tom Flores in the interview. The reason I did this video is because you can look at stats, you can look at a player's history, their bio, all that stuff, watch their performance on the field. But I think it's good to have something like this to get a personal story told by someone who knew, who was there, and just give you more of a perspective and depth of who this man was. Anyway, so that's my little supplemental video. If you like the channel, like the channel. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. And we'll catch you with another one real soon. Have a good day.